So here we are with Peep magazine, where, as you can see, it's an outside shoot today. You know, there's some locations in the world, historical, majestic, beautiful, renowned places, such as scenic places such as the Niagara Falls, Everest, the Great Pyramids, Congo, perhaps the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. But here we are today at perhaps the greatest location of all, at an unknown gem that only a few select people know about. We've talked about it, we've discussed it, and now we're actually here. The one and only BARTER Books. Hello, my name's James Watling of Peep magazine. As you can see, we're in an outdoor, or rather indoor location. We're out of the studio today. We've talked about it quite a bit on the Peep Live. We're up to episode 8, episode 9 coming soon. The great BARTER Books is something that we talk about at Peep. We don't just talk combat sports, we talk a little bit on art, a little bit on science, on current topics. We like to dip into other subjects, so the people out there, you the viewers who are interested in combat sports, get a little bit more of a selection of things to look at. And we're very lucky to have Mr. David Champion with us today, who's the director of BARTER Books. He's going to be talking to us a little bit about the history, about the current situation of BARTER Books. I hadn't realised some of the facts myself. It's one of the top 3 tourist locations to visit in the northeast, which is something that I didn't know. We may even get a chance to have a look around and behind stage as well, backstage of BARTER Books, which is something I haven't seen before. Talk a little bit about the progression. I mentioned before about the restaurant that's grown since I've been here. They have everything from, you know, obviously fact and fiction, history, religion, business, science. Any topic you could mention. There's also a selection of quite rare books, which as far as I'm aware up into the £1,000, but there might be books that are rarer than that. So David, thanks for joining us. No Fantastic to have you with us. So thanks for your time. Could you tell us a little bit about, we've already had a little bit of a tour, within the 5 minutes we've had together, you've fit so much in there, and I just wanted to get the introduction in so we can get some of this on camera. So could you just tell us a little bit about your background and involvement in BARTER Books, and the history, so to speak, or the you know, the creation of BARTER Books as a business and as a fantastic tourist destination?
Yes, well, it all started off in 1991, and Stuart and Mary Manley, the present owners of the business, and 2 of the fellow directors, in the face of enormous overdraft on the business Stuart was then running in this building at the time, which produced mouldings for the model shop business. Yeah. That was very successful in winter, but not so much in summer, because people didn't buy the stuff in summer. So it was in an effort to help with the business rates. His wife Mary suggested, could you sell some second-hand books in one of the rooms? Right. So they took over the front room and set it up as a bookshop. Well, then it took off on day 1, and after 6 months they realised the future really wasn't selling books. Right. And within 3 years it was this size. Right. And it's just gone on to you know, become more and more popular. It's the 3rd largest tourist destination in the northeast, with 375,000 visitors a year. So even on what we call a quiet day today, you think it's rather busy. So. But it's a nice sort of busy. It's still got the atmosphere relaxation and calm that we like people to experience here.
Yeah, I mean, my experience of Barter Books, I don't know if I just found it by accident or somebody brought me here, but I've been coming to Barter Books for about 10 years. And I've seen a progression with it. It's just a wonderful place to come to. It's so calming and relaxing, and being surrounded by all this knowledge. But it's also somewhere you can come with your kids. I brought my oldest daughter now. She's nearly 22, and she's been coming here since she was like, I think, so it's been longer than that, since she was like 10 or 11. And now my two youngest children come, and so it's not just about the books. There's a lot more to it. It's kind of it's a very comforting environment. It's a social environment. It's obviously somewhere you can come and get something to eat. There's a restaurant side to it as well. But could you tell us a little bit about how you became involved with the business?
Yes, it's Stuart, the owner. He has always been interested in railways.
Yeah.
And in the mid-90s, he thought it would be a wonderful idea if you could restore the rail link from Alnwick back into Alnwick, and he hoped to bring it into the other side of the station building. So he was setting up that society at the time. At the same time, I'd been involved for a while. I'd set up a project to build a brand new steam locomotive from scratch, costing £3 million. So our paths crossed, and I gave him a little assistance, and so we remained friends ever since then. And there became a time about 13 years ago when they asked me to come and help them manage the shop.
Right.
So it's been an extremely interesting experience.
I was going to say, there's not many businesses that that directors kind of have this kind of environment to work in and be part of. But it was originally a train station, wasn't it?
Yes.
So when did that kind of shut down? And was it then just an empty building that was sit around for a number of years before they came in and invested in it?
Yes. The last train was in 1968.
Oh right, okay.
And then the whole industrial estate and the old goods yard was turned into an industrial estate, and the station building became a warehouse. That was used for storing both fertilizer and sugar.
Right.
If the terrorists had never found out about that one, it could have blown up the whole of Alnwick.
And then some.
And the building sort of fell on hard times.
Right.
And then Stuart and Mary opened the bookshop, and very quickly it came to this size where it's occupying close to half of the original very large station building.
Right.
And it's gone from strength to strength. It started off as a shop. 9 years ago, I discovered a hidden room that nobody knew about, and I went to Mary and said, "Mary, I found a room."
I read about that on the newspaper article.
Yes, the entrance was from the other side of the station platform, so nobody had noticed it from here.
Right.
But late one night I went around thinking there must be some space in this old building. And found the old door to this place.
You're like Indiana Jones.
Oh, it was a bit like that. It was a bit like Howard Carter.
I'm sure there's a book on that.
Because I thought, there's a room in there, and if I'm right about my geography, we occupy either side of this room.
Yes, I'm with you.
So the following morning, I went round and got the keys to it and slid open this big old door, and it was just as when the last train left in 1968.
Wow.
There was an old delivery bicycle there.
Oh, fantastic.
There were barrels that had once held Danish butter.
Right. Wow.
And all sorts of things like that. Just as it was left 40 years previously. So I went and got Mary and Stuart and said, I found somewhere for the new offices we so desperately need.
Right.
Took Mary in, she took one look at it and took one look at the skylight flooding the place with light. She said, this is not our office, this is the coffee shop I've always wanted.
Right, wow.
So I said, well, it's quite simple. All we'll do is knock a hole in that wall, but it's not quite that simple with a grade 2 listed building.
There's a bit more paperwork involved.
It's a bit more, but we formed a new entrance into it in the same style as the existing building, and the buffet was such a success, and within the first year.
Yeah.
We then had to extend it, so now we use all the old waiting rooms. So there's 5 of the old Victorian waiting rooms that we're serving into. We've had to extend the kitchen 3 times because we make everything ourselves on site.
Wow.
And so even the station buffet now is employing 22 people.
Well, I mean, that's the other side. It's incredible that, you know, a local business and obviously a homegrown business is supporting, you know, staff, it's hiring people, it's supporting, therefore that leads on to their families being supported, so it's,
absolutely,
you know, so it's fantastic to have that.
Yes, in total we employ 60 people. 60?
Wow, yes. Fantastic, yeah.
Yes, and it must be one of the busiest bookshops in the UK, if not the biggest. It may not be the biggest, we've never claimed to be the biggest.
It's not as
but
best.
I wouldn't mind betting it's probably the busiest.
You may have drafted across my CV, because I'm sure I put a CV in here a number of years ago, so it probably passed by your desk, you know. But it's interesting. I mean the 2 owners, they actually are on site fairly regularly as well.
Every day.
Every day. I didn't know that. I mean, I love the story. Not to go too deep into it. If you want to find out more, and we're going to tell you more about how to get to Barter Books. But there's a lovely newspaper article on the wall about how they'd met, and I love the story of how he'd seen his wife, his wife to be on the plane, and he was like, how am I gonna speak to her? And he had a note. I think he'd written a note and handed it to the stewardess, who then handed it to her, and a note had said something like, if you would like to speak to me, raise your hand. But I love the idea that he'd watched the first in-flight movie, then the second, come up with this idea, and then she put her hand up and then gone and spoke to him. So and I love the way that he said that, you know, that fate in a sense will bring things to you, but you have to take action on them, and that's kind of relevant to here as well. But you know, I love that story about how they'd met. So can I ask you, I mean, what's the most kind of what's up for 2 questions? The most unusual incident in Barter Books that you can tell us about on camera, and also your day-to-day. I mean, what's your day-to-day job like? Are you here for 6 o'clock? Are you here till late into the night? Do you have to work weekends and things like that?
Well,
perhaps an unusual book that was found or something.
Yes, well, the shop's open 9 o'clock till 7 o'clock at night.
9 till 7.
Every day except Christmas Day. So bear in mind, we also have other lives. It's spend every day. All of the owners will tend to spend a fair part of most days here. I tend to, I'm a morning person, so I get here very early, long before the shop opens. And by 4 o'clock, I'm leaving it to other people to sort the place out. It's just a never-ending cameo of interesting things happening. You know, you never know what's going to happen. It's usually a bit busy. We get very interesting people coming, and quite a lot of famous people. They like the fact that we won't bother them. You know.
Absolutely.
Just for a classic. If they want to come and have a chat, like Clive James once did. He had a look around, then he wanted to come and have a chat. So we had a cup of coffee with him, and then he said, "Have you got any of my books? I'll sign them all for you."
Oh, fantastic!
Nice thing. So
very subtle and just, you know.
Oh, that's it. That's it. We like to be quite laid back in a certain sense. We other than the local county magazine, which we only do just to show our support, we don't do any advertising. We just the best advertising is by word of mouth.
Absolutely.
We just concentrate on getting the place right, letting people feel there's a calm, unhurried atmosphere. They can spend all day here if they wish. They don't have to buy a book during the course of that day.
I love that.
And they may go out without buying one. And we don't mind. Because one day they will. And even if they didn't, it still doesn't matter. There's certain things you just got to do because it's a good thing to do.
Agreed.
You know, we have a certain number of nighttime functions that Mary, the owner, she in fact founder of the business, she puts on, and she'll put on a very good speaker, say once a month throughout the winter and the spring. They're always sold out. It's always a really good subject, and as soon as we put the notes up with the next one, the applications for tickets are coming in. You know, £5, glass of wine. You know, canapes afterwards. And that's just done just for the love of it, and providing something for the community.
I think that's what gives Barter Books its kind of unique edge, so to speak, is that it's not, even though it is essentially a business, it's not run in a kind of very business-like manner. It's a very kind of open environment where people just want to come and spend time, and I think that's maybe one of the keys to its success.
Yes, it's not a corporate.
No, that's corporate.
Although I think from a management point of view, we're reasonably savvy managers.
Have to be, otherwise it wouldn't be a success.
But you know, we love the fact that everybody talks about it being laid back and relaxed, but the opposite of that is true for the staff. They actually have to work very hard to keep it laid back for the customer. You know, because every morning it's got to look just so, and for people to walk in, and we want it so that if somebody walks in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they feel just as welcome as they did at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's great. I love that. Can I just ask you a little bit about, you mentioned about the kitchens and the food service as well. You do. I mean, I've had the food here. It's lovely. It's fantastic, and it's very well priced as well. And has that allowed the business to expand and kind of grow from a financial perspective? Because I also want to ask you about the actual brand of Barter Books, and also the Keep Calm and Carry On. I read something about how that had originated here. I don't know if I was right with that.
Yes, it originated here.
So a little bit about that.
Yes. What was your first question?
Oh, sorry, the kitchen. Expanded the food side of things.
Yes. Well, Mary had always wanted a coffee shop, so when I found that room, that was the ideal thing to do. Then Mary and I stood and looked at each other and said, I wonder how you do that then. And so we thought about it for a few months, and we got an architect involved in converting the one room, and first all the cooking and all the serving was done in the one room. But Mary was very keen right from the beginning that what she wanted was good homely food, with the odd classic touch. So that's the way we set off, and we recruited a very good country house cook to start us off. And it just grew. We set a target for the buffet to reach it, and if we reach that at the end of 2 years, we'd keep it.
Fantastic.
Otherwise, we'd just think, oh well, it was a good idea, but
try it out.
We did that inside 4 months, and by the end of the first year, I was realising the original room with 15 seats was completely
inadequate.
Yes, and the kitchen side was completely inadequate too. So set about the first of 3 major extensions to it, in both directions. One taking over the old waiting rooms, the waiting room, and the other extending the kitchen as the trade grew, and now within the kitchen we have our own self-contained bakery solely for making all the cakes. Because on a busy month we will both make and sell about 5,000 portions of cake alone. If you add on to that all the things that are made here, like the macaroni cheese, the burgers, fish cakes, all made in house.
So they are made in house.
Oh, that's right. All we buy in is ingredients. And so you know, so it's not just a service kitchen providing hot and cold food. It's also a mini factory as well, producing the stuff from scratch.
Uncle Lumpers will be back in the back there.
We used to have a favourite restaurant in all 3 of us used to go to, and then it closed, and we thought, well, that's a shame. So I thought I'll see if I can track the chef down who owns it.
Ideal.
And he'd actually had a very serious operation on his back and had to give up the business. And I said, how about being a consultant for us? Wonderful. And he says, oh, I can't stand all day in the kitchen. My consultant says I'll be in a wheelchair if I do that for 80 hours a week. I don't want your legs, I want your brain. And so he came on board, and has made a massive difference to both the quality and the quantity, and the figures have just shot up. You know, since he came here 3 years ago, the buffet that was already very busy is doing 60% more business.
Right.
With the result that we've now got 22 staff.
Yeah. It's a very clever move of your own to do that, to kind of think of, okay, the restaurant I've been to, that I've enjoyed the food, I've enjoyed the ambience, I've enjoyed the experience, and then perhaps I can find perhaps the main centre point of that and bring him into Barter Books. But that's maybe not something that would normally be thought of. So but it has made a tremendous difference.
Oh, it has, because he has the same philosophy as us, that you must use the best of local ingredients if you want a quality product.
Local ingredients.
Even extending to such things, every operation like this will use a lot of cheese. Cheese on top, on the mac and cheese on top of a homemade burger, or cheese and the cheese scones, and guided by him, instead of just using what is the normal practice, where you buy effectively breeze blocks of cheese from cash and carry. We use the very best vintage cheese. Wow. And it does make that much difference. And yes, it's more expensive, but which obviously cuts the margin a little bit. But the customers like you appreciate the food much more.
Absolutely.
You can tell it's quality.
Absolutely. And I think it's not just. I think if you base a business purely on margin and profit, that's not going to be a successful business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you focus on sending the customer away very happy, they tell all their friends about it. And again, you don't need to do any advertising then, do you?
Exactly, and that will increase the margin by not having to pay for advertising. And I think that the proof is in the pudding. Can I ask you two more questions, and then if you're able to, what would be fantastic if we could just have a very short tour, just to have a little look around.
Absolutely.
But the last thing, the last two questions. I think it's the last one question actually, and then an additional kind of add-on to that. In my mind, anyway, Barter Books is famous for, as well as its tremendous, tremendous people, the books, the food, the coffee. And the cookies. So, there's nowhere else on this earth, as far as I'm aware of, that you can get an amazing cup of coffee for 30 pence and a fantastic cookie for 65 pence. So, leading on from that, could you tell us a little bit about the great cookie drought of 2017? And also about ginger and then the last question will be ginger or chocolate chip. But the cookie drought first, if you could address that, for me personally, anyway, from a personal level.
Well, we'd always had the cookies ever since we opened, and it's always been a really popular thing. And when we opened the buffet, we thought, well, we're going to be doing all these fine coffees. Should we keep on doing that for 30 pence?
100%.
Just give people a choice. And hasn't affected the sales of cappuccinos or whatever. And it's still, it's just to encourage people to come. Yes, but the great cookie drought. We had a good firm in Northumberland making them for us for a number of years, and but sadly they went bust.
Right.
So then we had to go down to Townside to get a bakery to make them for us, and they did a good job for us. But they came to retirement age and decided they didn't want to carry on.
Right.
So then we went to the last place in Northumberland that could produce the quantity, because every year we sell about 35 to 40,000 cookies up the front.
Wow!
On a self-service basis.
And 10,000 of those are down to myself. So.
Yes. And so we tried the last local place that was able to do it. And some weeks they were good, and some weeks they weren't.
Right.
Now, that's a philosophy we don't buy into.
Consistency is key.
So we had a thing about it. It's until we can get this right, it's better just not to.
Agreed.
And so that was the origin of the
cookie drought.
We thought it's better just not to, instead of producing a substandard product some weeks. Just to find out how on earth we can do it. So we actually toured the country on the internet. Talked to a few people. We tried a firm down in Herefordshire for a little while. Even they were inconsistent.
Right.
Let's just really think this one out. We've got our own kitchen. We've got our own stuff. Is it something we can further impose on the kitchen? And Brian, the executive chef, said, you know what, we can reorganise things. And I think if we organise them, Manning, we can actually do them in-house.
Wow.
So now we're baking
in-house cookies. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 35 to 40,000 a year are being produced from our own bakery.
That's incredible. I had no idea that was the case. Yeah, and I have to say the cookies are tasting better than ever, because I like the little bend that you get on them. They don't just snap now. So
well, yes, there was one of the supplies that we had used in the past. When we looked at the ingredients on the back, we said, it doesn't list ginger here in the ginger carton, and he sort of shamefacedly says, there actually isn't any.
Right.
It's just a ginger sort of flavouring.
Right, okay, yeah.
So we've gone the other extent. Now there's 5 different kinds of ginger in the cookies now, including stem ginger.
Right, really? I didn't. That might get me back onto the ginger train then, because which brings me on to my next question actually. Just on the cookie drought, when I came in to get my usual cookie, and there was no cookies, and I was thinking, do you know what I should have done? Is last time I came in, do you know the serving box that you get? Why didn't I just invest in a ton of those serving boxes, and I'd have been set for cookies, and maybe I could have created my own business on eBay selling cookies while the drought was continuing, and made a few quid. But go on, sorry.
The only downside is that when they were being more commercially produced, they had a long sell-by date on, because there was preservatives in. We took the view that making them freshly with really good ingredients, for instance, the 5 different kinds of ginger. Why we're going to put preservatives into that?
Agreed.
So we decided not to put preservatives in, and they've got a use-by date of 10 days.
Right.
But the fresher tastes better.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last question then, before we have a little look around, is ginger or chocolate chip?
Ginger for me.
Really?
I'm not a chocolate person.
Well, I've always been chocolate, but I think I'm certainly, after what you've told me, I think I'm going to go ginger.
Yeah, the gingers have got a really nice hit. Just a little bit afterwards, I think, oh wow, ginger.
A snap to it.
A snap to it, ginger snap.
Yeah, well, they're a little bit softer than that, because they're a little bit pliable. Because the problem
I like that. I like the pliableness.
Because the stem ginger in them.
I think it was 2015 we didn't get the.
Yes. Because the stem ginger in, you can't bake them hard.
Right.
So
you've got to
because there's actually moisture in stem ginger.
Right.
So the only way to get them hard would be to overbake them. Right. In which case they would come out close to black.
That could be.
So we'd rather have the taste.
Actually, last question. Have you thought about introducing a new? I thought maybe blueberry cookie or something, or is it just chocolate and ginger? Could I send you a few ideas, maybe, David, and you can have a look at some, vet some ideas?
That may cause raised eyebrows in the kitchen, producing 35 to 40,000 on top of everything else that they produce.
Very true. Very true.
It may be a tall order.
Very true. Sir, if you could let us have a little tour.
Sure.
We'd be indebted. Thank you. We'll just follow you around.
And it's quite likely that these will sell on the internet. They usually do. Occasionally, too, someone will, usually from London, will come in and spend a few £1,000s a time. But the rare and antiquarian books is a significant part of the business. Part of the secret of the business is the price range goes all the way from 60p to £42,000. But we've got everything in between.
So £42,000. That's the most valuable book you've had on site.
Yes.
Yes. Can we ask you what that book was? Was it?
Yes, it's a special edition of Canterbury Tales, which is illustrated by William Morris.
Wow.
Which is very collectible. Yes. Only 1,000 produced.
Right. Okay.
So that's even the facsimile copies of it sell for about £200 each.
Right.
So that's the most expensive one at the moment. And but you get an idea that there's significant value. The likes of first edition Jane Austen's and there's some of the
classics.
First edition H.G. Wells and that sort of thing. So that's a significant part of the business. Although obviously most of the stock is actually held in the warehouse.
Yes, the lock and key.
Security reasons.
Yes, of course.
And one of the surprises of recent years, because we nearly stopped selling vinyl, is vinyl became very popular again. And so we sell lots of vinyl, and people bring it in for us, and
Rush, Bob Dylan.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan sells very well both in
Pink Floyd,
vinyl,
Pink Floyd,
and in sheet music.
Yeah.
And so you know, principally you know, pop rock from the 60s onwards sells very well, or jazz.
Jazz, right? Okay.
Jazz sells very well.
Can I ask you, just on the subject of music, how do you choose what you're playing? Because you have music that plays over the, or, you know, throughout the you know, the room. So how do you choose that? How's that selected?
Well, it's about 3,000 pieces on the computer.
Right.
And we usually give it to a member of staff for a period of time to put their ideas on, and
that's a good.
You know, we all put our own ideas on from time to time.
Right.
But we sometimes have a blackball system where we say, we can't really take that anymore. But we like to have an adventurous selection.
That's I love that. Yeah.
You know, and usually the criteria is that you wouldn't hear it in a lift.
Yes. and only the real, not the you know, in some stores when they'll have like original hits, but they'll not be the original artist. They've kind of hired somebody to put that on there. But you guys make sure it's the original. If it's Bob Dylan, we're actually listening to Bob Dylan. Right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent.
So again, rare but not quite so rare or precious. Natural history, literary criticism. Really, we have every single genre in the shop.
I love, David, I love when you have the signs, everything's listed on the side there. I love that, you know.
Yes.
It's very
people
unique.
like the way it's organised. It's not using the library Dewey Decimal system. But it works for us.
Yeah.
You know, people can find their way around fairly easily. Yeah. And
it just looks really unique, and it's just very tasteful, isn't it? And just very artistic, lovely.
This is what we call the fiction crescent, where we're surrounded by the A to Z fiction shelves here. We've got a table there and Lloyd Loam chairs just for people to, you know, just to
on the
chill out.
Shall I have a little wander over to the so this is a really unique spot, the central table. It's where I often come actually with the kids and with friends and family that will come and sit, have the coffee and cookie and get to the central table. So what was the idea for this? It was just we had room here, let's put it in, or?
Again, it was Mary's idea. Mary is really responsible for the ambience of the place, and she's got a feel for it. She just knows how to set things out and how to make people feel at home. This is another one of her ideas.
This is interesting.
Here. This is specially created artwork from chandelier. And it's railway tracks radiating out all to mythical destinations. You can see that each mythical destination at the and so on. And this inscription in the middle over a book is "Et in Arcadio ego," which means "I too am in paradise."
Right, and that's what is that in Latin from?
Yes,
Dante's Inferno.
Was a clue actually.
Right, okay. That's interesting. I love it at Christmas time. You have the Christmas books all
that's right.
All set up as well. That's always popular. I love that. I think this is the #1 destination to come when you get your book and your coffee and cookies. You see, what I do is that this is #1, but I have like a list of other like backups. I've got 2 and 3. I think 2's over in the corner by the where the newspaper cut. 3's probably inside the other room. But this is a place to come and you can just sit back, relax, and have your coffee. See, a lot of people come here doing work as well. They bring the laptops in and get some work done as well. Because like you say, there's no pressure to leave. It's a destination. It's not just a shop.
That's right. The only thing that we do require is or ask is when people bring laptops in to do work,
be respectful
in the waiting rooms.
Yes.
Not when people want the table to eat.
Yes,
from,
of course, very much.
Yes. But over there we can see another one of the features of the shop, which is the old water fountain.
Should we?
Which you can see has been well used by one of our guest dogs.
There you go.
People love the fact that dogs are welcome here.
That's something worth mentioning as well, isn't it? Because dogs are welcome here.
Yes.
That's all right. Just walk through.
That's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it says outside dogs welcome. So
yes. Sometimes there seem to be as many dogs as people.
yes,
or more. But
we'll have cats in as well, or
if a cat did turn up, it would be very welcome.
that's brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I've got a cat. I mean, I love dogs, but I've got cats, so maybe bring Nightwing in sometime. What's the history? What's the story behind the filtered water?
Interesting history here.
Yeah.
You know, most stations actually had some sort of drinking. Most stations had some sort of public drinking facility like this. At the time the station opened in 1888, it was just at the time when they were beginning to realise how essential pure water was, because of the cholera and typhoid outbreaks of the 19th century. Because they had thought these outbreaks were the germs had got there through the air, and then they realised it was dirty water. So the filtered water was provided here for passengers to use, and the Newcastle Chronicle of the time, when it mentioned the opening of the station, it said, "The provision of filtered water at Alnwick station is a boon of this generation and may bring about an exodus of people from Newcastle."
Fantastic. Should we try some?
Well, you can if you want, but what they hadn't realised was everybody drinking out of these cups was a pretty good way of spreading tuberculosis.
So let's just check it. There you go.
So now it gets used for topping up the little doggy balls.
Yeah, we get definitely. You've got to keep the guys hydrated. Brilliant. That's great. And this is another little kind of historical feature, then, isn't it?
Go on, you're fine.
Absolutely. Yes.
Brilliant.
So there's lots of lovely features about the building. I mean, if you just look at the roof, for instance, you can see there's a central raised section. It's called a clerestory, right at the top of the roof.
Clerestory.
Clerestory, or clerestory as it used to be called. And that used to be opened at the sides. It was just covered at the top. And the purpose of that was to allow the smoke and steam from the steam engines to ventilate out. Because we're actually standing on platform 1 at the moment, and there's a seam in the concrete there. And if I walk over here, actually, I'm on the edge of the old platform. And of course, it's been filled in since the station closed. So actually, I would be standing on train at this point. And
this is the track. So this is where the tracks would actually have run through.
That's right.
And that's where we've had
the platform. You know, I would be standing in a coach here. In fact, I used to come here when I was a teenager, and I remember it well, you know, being in this platform. And never thinking 50 years later, I've been working here.
And what it would be. It's interesting you said as well that we have famous people that come into Barter Books. I think I've spotted a couple now. If we just wanted to bring the camera this way. I don't know if you recognise I like the way as well Prince Harry's wearing the Barter Books jumper. That's good. We'll maybe say hi later to the
We walked past all the old waiting rooms. There were 4 waiting rooms, which is actually very interesting because it tells you a lot about Victorian attitudes to women.
4 waiting rooms?
Yes. So that one over there, that was the 3rd class general waiting room. For men and women travelling 3rd class. There was no 2nd class. The next room onwards, which is now the entrance to the toilets, where Harry and Meghan are standing with the Barter Books t-shirts.
Of course, what else would there be?
That was the women's 3rd class waiting room. Next to it, in what's now the blue room of the buffet, that was the ladies' 1st class waiting room. And then the red room of the buffet was the gentlemen's 1st class. So if you're a woman, you had the choice of going with the men in the mixed waiting room, or by yourself, even if you're a 3rd class passenger, in the women only waiting room, or travelling 1st class in the 1st class ladies waiting room.
And that's interesting.
And what's quite interesting is, although it's in the general waiting rooms, it's a cast iron fireplace, which is decorative, but still a bit utilitarian. Even in the ladies' 3rd class waiting room, They got a marble fireplace.
A slight upgrade.
Yes.
I like that. And another kind of well-known and recognised feature is the model trains that you have running along the top. I can remember when my son's 16 now, and when he was like 2 and 3, I used to have to literally lift him up here and hold him for a number of minutes so he could watch the trains.
Yes, we see that all the time.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 separate circuits going here, and the trains are running all day from 9 till 7. Each track covers about 3,000 real miles per year.
Oh, really? Oh, right, per year, yeah.
And given that they're around about 1/20th full size, that's like 60,000 scale miles.
Right.
But 3,000 miles.
It's a lot. Who maintains them then? Do you take them? Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so do you take them down? Is it each month that would be taken down?
Oh yes.
Work time?
Yes.
Right.
And about every 3 months, I have to send the mechanisms off to have new wheels and motors.
Right.
And about every year, I have to replace the track because the rails get worn out.
Completely replace or repair.
Yeah.
Right.
Replace it.
Right.
The rails get completely worn down.
Right. I wonder if this is like perhaps the most used train set in the UK.
In the world.
In the world, perhaps.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
We did have one engine that was working particularly well, so I just left it on for 2.5 years.
Right.
And it worked every day for 2.5 years.
Right.
And I worked out that by the time we took it out of service, it had done about 7,000 miles.
Wow.
Which is probably an all-time world record finding a model. Every day. Well, I've got a rest on Christmas Day, but
that's one day. One day off a year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, I mean, where do you see the future of Barter Books going to? I mean, what we'd like to do before we leave is have a little look at the coffee and cookie, and I don't know if we can have a quick look backstage, but if not, that's absolutely fine. Yes. But where do you see the future of Barter Books heading? Is your intention to run, to expand? I mean, I wouldn't imagine you'd want to expand the location. Have you the thought of having satellite shops, of branding it, but is it always going to be just Barter Books?
Yes. We like what we do here. We think it's at optimum size. It's not transferable anywhere else.
Absolutely.
It would be very hard to find another place in the country where you would have the combination of this kind of building on the main tourist route into town, the combination of personalities amongst the staff and the management that make this place what it is.
Agreed.
And where else could you just have a self-service coffee shop? And not worry about it. And it's an odd fact about the self-service coffee and the biscuits. When we first started putting the charge through the tills, it was a bit of a faff, 30 pence every time. So we decided to put the honesty box there. And we were wondering how honest the honesty box would be. The answer is it's 110% honest.
I see where you're going with that. Please finish, and then I'll.
Yes, because people appreciate so much. And I'm sure there's the odd one who doesn't pay. But by and large, people appreciate being trusted so much. They usually overpay.
I do that. That's my technique. I may have built up some credit. I don't know. That's my technique. Because 30 pence for a coffee, you could. Well, I think £1 for a coffee and cookie, and sometimes stick a little bit extra on that as well. Can we have a quick look at the coffee and cookie? I mean, we've got to look at that. Well, it's quite busy. So how did this start off? Was it just one unit and a basket, and then you've expanded it, or?
It pretty much had stayed the same all the time. It was Mary's idea. Mary's from America, and she'd seen this idea in America and transferred it over here. And right from day one, there's been a sofa here, a nice fire, and help yourself to coffee, tea, and cookies.
And this is the honesty box. And are you going to raise the prices, or we're going to stay on?
Well, we thought about that this year. We're not making any money on this.
I can imagine.
But it's a nice service to provide.
It's a lovely service to provide.
Just to make people feel at home. And and as it hasn't harmed the figures for barista style coffees in the buffet. Why not just keep it going?
I think so. And we have. So this is the ginger with the Does it have the stamp? There we go. Made in Barter Books.
Yeah.
Can I get a closer one?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And then we've got the chocolate. Brilliant. And when did you start making these local again? Sorry, when was it? Was that start of the year?
Just about, yes,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's just when we worked out how to do it.
Brilliant.
We brought the cookies right to an end.
Yeah, thank God for that. See, I still think there's a space there for the for my suggestions on the new cookie flavour. So I'll email, if I can get your email address, I'll just send you a whole list, and
if
you see what you think.
Find somewhere for me to extend the kitchen, we'll have a look at it.
that's a great. Well, if we could have a look backstage, if that was possible, that would be wonderful.
So this way, is it?
Yeah, just I think we're straight down the bottom after you, sir. Brilliant.
This mural was another inspiration of Mary's, is to celebrate writers in the English language over the centuries, and the artwork took 2 years to produce by a local artist who's been Oscar nominated for his work on films, and he's Peter Dodd, and it's a really very clever piece of artwork, because you can see he's incorporated the architecture of the building actually into the painting. And during the 2 years of the painting, the staff actually acted as body doubles up on the scaffolding while it was being done. And so it was just something that, like all the artworks from the shop, the owners just did it off their own bat. Never had a penny of grants or arts funding, anything. They just know what they want to do, and they just go and do it. Seek out the best artists, and there's numerous examples of specially commissioned artwork in the place. But you know, and this is a major one.
See, I think it carries through when that kind of care and thought is put into something. Even if a person was to never directly look up and see it, I think they would get a feel of it, because it just carries over.
Yes, and you know, you often see people there, trying to identify all the people there, or the children trying to count the number of animals in the painting. So
well, I see cats are allowed in Barter Books. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's actually one of the owner's cats.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right, fantastic. I'm on board. So we're backstage now. We're behind the curtain, so to speak. We were, behind the curtain of Oz. Whereabouts are we? We're just into is this the main storeroom?
Yes, this is the main storeroom. It actually has more books than actually in the shop. Right. And it's where we have the reserve stocks of everything from general fiction to, every category, and also the rarer and antiquarian books are kept behind here. But you're asking about the
rarest book that you've ever had.
Yes. The book came in from auction a month or so back, and we were looking at it, and it was a history of why Britain ended up going into the Second World War, published in 1940. Right. But it was by John F. Kennedy. Wow. So that was significant.
That's good, yeah.
And then we looked at it, and it was signed by John F. Kennedy.
Wow.
And
was the signature authenticized as well?
And not only a signature, there was a dedication in it.
Fantastic.
To the British ambassador
to
America. Yeah. And who was the Marquis of Lothian at that time. And absolutely fascinating, because the detail given in the dedication completely authenticated it. And it was very much of the moment, because at that time Kennedy's father was the American ambassador to Britain, and the book was presented to the British ambassador to America. I understand, because Kennedy's father was a very controversial ambassador to England, because he didn't want America to join the war. Yes, that's right. So, fantastic. So that was one of the rare finds. And
is that a book that is there certain books then that you would keep hold of? So would that book then put into circulation and then
that's up on the internet for sale. I think it's £16,000.
Not too bad.
And for John F. Kennedy signed copies, that's quite the market price.
Absolutely.
And especially with that provenance behind it.
Absolutely, there's a lot more to it than just a signature. I mean, a signature itself is a fantastic find, but to have that as well, that really does make it something very unique.
Yes.
Fantastic. I mean, thank you very much for the time that you've given us today in Barter Books. It's been absolutely wondrous. I've been coming here for 10 years, and there's things that you've shown me I didn't even know existed.
Yes.
I had no idea that you had more books backstage. There's so many different elements that I appreciate. I didn't realise the cookies were made on site. So as I said, I think I'd spoke to you before, but off camera, what's the future for Barter Books? What's the next step, just to keep as we are and just keep on
doing what we're doing? We always change a little bit every year, but we change in the same way.
Yeah.
So there will always be a little improvement here or there, but it'll still feel the same.
Yeah.
We think we can manage the operation well at the size it is now. So it's not going to expand. It's not going to open satellite businesses. It's just it's going to keep on hopefully doing well what it does well.
How would you guide people in? So it's located in Alnwick, in the centre of Alnwick. So how would you say to people to come in? I would usually say, you know, as you come into Alnwick, drive down and you can't miss it. It's on your left hand side. So that's kind of my instruction.
That's about as complicated as it is. You know, it's on the main road. Actually, on the old A1, on the main road into Alnwick, and it's a big old station building, and you can't miss it.
And is there any social media attached to that other than a hashtag for Instagram or anything like that? Because I think what we're going to do is have the address and the phone number. But is there anything more information that we could give to the to the potential visitor?
Yes, we leave to other people actually to put the information up.
Hashtag Barter Books, that's the one I use.
Yes, and we're always amazed when we occasionally look at it to find out what content has been put on about the shop.
Right.
And I think it's a good thing not to try and force the issue. Just let people put on what they want to put on.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are thousands of entries on these sites, and you know, unbeknown to us, a few years ago we got listed by a New York website on a list of the 20 most beautiful bookshops in the world.
Incredible.
Since when, there's been a number of other lists appeared on the internet, all of which has us as one of the 20 most beautiful bookshops in the world. So that's a rather nice position to be in.
The bank. You can't. How can you compete with that?
Yes.
You know, and it's real as well. It's not something that's been kind of forced, but it's very organic,
right.
and it's true.
Somebody's looked around, and you know, we get visitors even from the Far East, you know, on tours of the world's most beautiful bookshops. And, you know, being Japanese, they come here, spend 3 hours, photograph everything, they're straight down to the airport, and then off to Portugal to the next one for another afternoon.
But I bet you don't get 30p coffees there. You don't get the ginger cookies. Fantastic. Listen, you must be so proud that you've been so integrally involved in such a wonderful creation.
It's personally, it's been a great life achievement. Just you know, you look back and you think, what have I done good? And you know, this is just a great thing to have been involved with Stuart and Mary in building this into what it is today. Well,
David, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. You've taken so much time off your busy schedule to be with us, and you've given us an incredible tour. So I just want to say to the viewers, I hope you've enjoyed our time here in Barter Books. It's as David has already said, it's the #1 place to come and see. If you have any interest in books, if you just want to spend a bit of time, if you just want to you know, experience something new that you haven't experienced, this is definitely the place to come. And if you like cookies or the best coffee you're going to find at 30p, this is a place to be. So this has been James Watling with Peep Magazine. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back on Peep Live episode 9 very soon.